Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's story is an exclusive story from the wonderful mind of Leon Hamilton. As ever, please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid crew. And so, with that aside, let's get into tonight's story, entitled The Addiction. Let's get straight into that. Well, it's not easy to admit that you have a problem. And for a lot of years I drifted through life looking for my next high. Well, in most cases, that would be a typical junkie's background story, leading up to his or her recovery. Only, I never recovered. Instead, I just placed all of my addictions with one really fucked up pastime, or if you can call it that. I suppose you noticed I said all of my addictions. I am what I like to call a well-rounded dope fiend. Coke, heroin, meth, and a list of pills that will make a pharmacist shit himself. You name it, I'm on it, and if you got it, I want it, and that's exactly what led me here. My name isn't all that important, and given you what I do for a living these days is probably best that you don't know. So, for now, you can call me Joe. This is an insane situation, and so I won't blame you if you didn't believe me. But nonetheless, for better or worse, this is some real shit. I was living in Oregon when I learned the truth. I'm not talking about today's Oregon with super clean products and organized distributors. I'm talking the mom and pop days, when any tweaker with a chemistry set was cooking up their crank in a bathtub. I had a pal named Willie, and that I used to get high with, and we used to play this game. And we would bet on which blast would be the last because, back then, the wrong shit could kill you. Anyway, we got our hands on some unbelievable smoke from an RV park in Dayville, and we went driving back to my place when my car suddenly broke down. I know, there's loads of stories that start exactly like that, but I can't make this up. That's exactly what happened. To tell the truth, I knew the car was trash and making that drive was a bad idea, but when getting sick isn't an option, you go a long way to get what you need. The car rolled to a stop halfway through Fossil Beds on the 19. Willie looked over at me and laughed. "Ha, told you. I knew we should have bet on it. What are we going to do now, Joe?" "I'm not in the mood for your bullshit. We both know you can't fix this car. We might as well start walking now and save ourselves the trouble." I had to laugh. He was right. We both lit up and took a few hits before we got out and started a long walk home. I don't know if any of you have ever been through the Fossil Beds. It's a gorgeous place in the daytime, but when the sun goes down, I swear, it's the deepest, darkest place on Earth. After about an hour of walking, I glanced over at Willie, who was smoking a cigarette and frantically scanning the darkness around us. "Are you okay, man? What the fuck's wrong with you?" He took a long drag of his cigarette and stopped walking, still looking around. "Can you smell that?" He sniffed the air. "It smells like..." Willie tilted his head back and took in a deep breath. "It smells like food." His voice slowly turned to a growl as he continued sniffing the air. I thought he was just screwing around until he brought his head down, and then I saw his eyes. They were oversized and bright yellow. Stubble was starting to sprout from his normally shiny, bald head. And for a second, I thought it was the drugs. But when he started tearing away his face and howling like an animal, I ran. The high made me feel like I was Flash, blazing a trail across the planet. In reality, years of drug abuse and bad life choices meant I was practically moving in slow motion. Well, it didn't matter though. I took a chance and glanced back over my shoulder to see Wooly laying on the ground, not moving. And so I stopped, went back to still partially thinking I was high and this was just a bad trip, but when I made it back to where he was laying, I saw a pool of blood forming underneath him. By the way he was positioned, his back was to me. I had to step around to see his face, and when I did, my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. His skull was split, and there, protruding from the shredded flesh and shattered bone, was the partially formed skull of a wolf, or should I say a werewolf. I'm not really sure which is correct. I'm not proud of what I did next, but since Wooly was dead, he wasn't going to need his dope, and so I dug into his pocket and took it, and then got the hell out of there. And by the time I got home, I was losing it. I stayed up for the next 2 days, blazing my life away. Everything was such a blur, I didn't know what was real or imagined. And then someone suddenly knocked on my door. I almost lost it. I ran to my bedroom closet and grabbed my gun, as whoever it was kept knocking, until I finally yelled out, "Stop knocking! I'm coming, for Christ's sake! Just give me a fucking second!" Rushing through my apartment, I tripped over a shoe and dropped the gun, which went off and shot a hole in my wall. "Holy shit!" a familiar voice yelped on the other side of the door. "Joe, man, it's me, Willie. What the hell are you doing?" I almost threw up when I recognized his voice. I scrambled to my feet, opened the door, and there he was. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. "Are you really here right now?" I stuttered through words, dreading a response. Willie looked at me for a second, and then punched me in the face, knocking me flat on my ass. "Of course I'm really here, you piece of shit. Why the fuck did you leave me on the side of the road? And you robbed me. Me! Your best, scratch that. Your only fucking friend, and you robbed me. Give me my money or my smoke, or I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking kill you." Fear, paranoia, and meth are a lethal combination. And seeing Willie standing in my doorway when I clearly saw him die 2 nights before was just enough to send me right over the edge. Sitting on the floor with blood gushing from my nose, I grabbed my gun and pointed it at him. He narrowed his eyes at me and stepped back. "What are you gonna?" He was cut short when I pulled the trigger. Blood and gunpowder, a smell I would eventually come to love, drifted in the air as Willie fell face down in my living room. The bullet tore through his neck and blew out part of his spine on its way out. It was a kill shot, and a damn good one, if you ask me. He was dead before he hit the ground. I got myself together. The cops would be showing up soon, and the last thing I needed was another arrest. This one would probably get me life. I rushed to my bedroom and started stuffing a backpack full of clothes and any cash that I had in the house. I was in the middle of ransacking my room, searching for a few grams I'd stashed, when a low growl rumbled through the room. Heavy breathing and a guttural huffing sound froze me in my tracks. Before I could turn around, it was on me, snarling, biting and tearing into me. I caught glimpses of bristly black fur and flashes of bright yellow eyes, but I hadn't really seen what was attacking me. I'm 6'6", and this thing towered over me by at least a foot. It had ragdolled me around the room, slamming me off the walls, but after smoking meth for 2 days straight, I felt like Superman, and my fight or flight mode was in overdrive. I slammed into the wall and came down on the floor hard. In my head, I bounced right back up to my feet, but I'm fairly certain that's not what really happened. Anyway, I got back to my feet, and what was standing in front of me was the most amazing and terrifying thing I had ever seen in my life. I was a full-on howl at the moon, 7-foot tall werewolf. I was bleeding from a hole in its throat and looking at me like I was its dinner. I can't rationally explain what I did next, and so I'll just tell you. I yelled. I screamed as loud as I could. "Come on!" And it roared back before making that guttural huffing sound again, and then collapsing on the floor. In my mind, I had just defeated a beast from hell. And so I might have gone a little primal. There I was, covered in blood, pounding my chest and screaming at the werewolf corpse on my bedroom floor, when the sweetest voice in the world cut through the madness. It was Shelby. She's my insanely hot neighbour. I'm just bullshitting you. Shelby's my weird-ass next-door neighbour, and don't get me wrong, she's pretty, and a very sweet girl. I smoked a little weed with her from time to time, but she's not insanely hot. I just thought it sounded cooler. Anyway, she's just a little odd, if you ask me. "Are you in there, Joe?" she called out nervously, peeping around the corner into my bedroom. "I heard all the commotion and came to..." Shelby paused when she spotted a mass of blood and fur. "Holy shit! Is that what I think it is?" She glanced up at me and gasped. "Oh my God! What happened in here? You're bleeding. We have to get you to a hospital." The sound of police sirens in the distance slightly brought me back to reality for a second. "I can't go to jail again, Shelby. They'll lock me up for good this time. Let's go back to your place and I'll get cleaned up. When the cops leave, I'm out of your hair. Please, Shelby, you gotta do this for me." She couldn't stop looking at the dead werewolf on the floor. "Hell no! I'm not getting involved in this. But if you don't want to go to jail, you better get moving before the cops show up." I didn't really have much of a choice, but I realized in that moment that Shelby was seeing the werewolf that meant it was real and I wasn't insane. I couldn't help but smile at the thought and climb down to the window. The second my feet hit the ground, I took off running. I held up in a fleabag motel for the next few days. Some of my wounds were infected and I was falling apart. I watched the news almost religiously for any signs of what went down, but there wasn't a single word mentioned. About a week later, there was a knock at my door. "Open up, Joe. We need to talk." I didn't recognize the voice, but it didn't matter anymore. I was sick. I hadn't had a fix in days and I was burning up from the infection. I slowly staggered over to the door, unlocked it and swung it open. "I'm Detective Victor Wells. Mind if I have a word with you?" He winced from the reek that was wafting out of my room and pointed to the bed. "Why don't you step over to the bed and take a seat for me?" Wells stepped into my room and closed the door behind him. "I'm going to get straight to the point. This is all off the books. That thing you killed in your apartment is an ongoing problem in this area. I need you to take me to where you got your dope. By the stink of you, I can tell. You've been bitten, and so I'll give you a little advice. You need to see a doctor. Getting bit by a werewolf doesn't turn you into one. This ain't the movies, son. That infection, that'll kill you. The only way to become a werewolf is to be born one, and that's exactly why I need you to take me to where you got that crystal." I sat there in a daze for a few seconds. It was so hard to focus. The room was swaying and my heart, it was pounding. Detective Wells shook his head and dug into his pocket, pulling out a Narcan inhaler and then tossing it to me. "Take a hit off that and get yourself together. Meet me outside. I'm going to get you stitched up and then you're taking me to where I need to go." Wells turned to walk out of the room and paused. "In case you get an idea to run, just Just keep in mind, nobody's looking for you, and so if I shoot you in the head, no one cares. Now hurry up, we got a lot to do. A short trip and a few stitches and a shot of morphine later, I'm riding shotgun, headed for the RV park in Dayville. Wells started up with the questions right away. So, the night you scored, what happened? I didn't really want to talk about it, but I figured it had to be better than getting shot in the face. Me and Willie rode out to the RV park and copped from a guy named Al in trailer 18. On the way back, my car broke down, and so we torched up and started walking. Willie started acting crazy, and then he got sick and passed out. I didn't see him for 2 days until he popped up at my apartment and attacked me. The expression on his face changed from agitated to curious. Wait, so you're telling me that you smoked the same crystal as Willie and nothing happened to you? He nodded his head like he was rolling it over in his mind. This can't be right, he muttered to himself. I couldn't take it anymore. Look, Wells, since I'm spilling my guts over here, would you mind filling me in on what the hell is going on? The detective chuckled. The werewolves moved into this area a few months ago. Since then, we've been receiving reports of wolf activity outside of their designated areas. The strange thing about it is, all the reports were from civilians claiming someone in their household turned into a wolf or either died on the spot or attacked them and then died during the scuffle. Now, the one thing that they all had in common was that they all had a significant amount of methamphetamine in their blood. My theory is one of these geniuses found a way to turn normies into wolves using meth. I sat there, staring out the window, taking it all in. This couldn't really be happening. So, you're telling me werewolves are real, and they're cooking up crystal that turns regular people into more werewolves? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to stop the car and let me out. The trailer park is a few miles ahead on the left, and if it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not be involved in all of this. The detective pressed down on the accelerator. I'm afraid it's not that simple, pal. The fact that the drug didn't affect you means you're one of us. If I don't turn you in, I'll lose my hunting license. And I love my job, so, like it or not, you're coming with me. One of you? What are you talking about? What do you mean turn me in? Am I going to jail? This is crazy. I didn't do anything wrong. You have to let me go. Just pull over and I'll walk back, I swear. You'll never see me again. Welsh shook his head. Calm down. You're not going to jail. All immunes like you and me have to be registered with the Foundation once they run a few tests and get you your info, and you'll be free to go. If I was you, I'd think about getting on board. The pay is great, and you'll be doing what you do best. All you'd have to do is get high and report anomalies. And when you find them, clean up crews or independents like me, we do the rest. Now the trailer park was coming into view. Wells pulled off the road and then got out and went back to the trunk. After a few minutes, he came back, wearing body armor and carrying a shotgun. When the shooting starts, you get down and stay low until it gets quiet. He pulled down the visor and slid out a business card. If I don't come back in 30 minutes, go to the address on this card and give them this location. Wells threw the car into drive and we sped into the RV park. And we pulled out right up to trailer 18 and stopped. The detective hopped out and then strolled up to the front door, kicking it in on first try. After a minute or two, Al came crashing through the window and landed on the hood of the car. It wasn't long before Wells came rushing out to grab him. Where are they? Al was a bloody mess, but Wells didn't care. He beat him and continued with the questions. Where's the cookhouse, and who's running it? And through cracked teeth and a broken nose, Al laughed. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. So arrest me or get the fuck out of here. Wells stepped back and checked around into the chamber. Arrest you? Do I look like I came here to arrest anybody? Give me your connector and I'll make this quick. Al laughed again and spat into the detective's direction. Ah, fuck you. Wells shrugged his shoulders. Have it your way. He took aim and fired, and from the knee down, Al's right leg basically exploded. Last chance, dipshit. Give me a supplier, and you might live through this. Al rolled around on the ground, screaming, and the detective adjusted his aim. I'll take that as a no. He pulled the trigger, and Al's head splattered across the ground. Wells turned and walked back to the trailer. After a few minutes, he came back with a cell phone. We sat there as he went through every number until he found what he was looking for. Well, pal, it's about time I turned you in. I can't take you with me on this next one without you being registered with the Foundation. But if you decide to join up, give me a call. I could use a guy like you. We drove for hours until we came to an unmarked office building in the middle of the city. I go to the front desk and tell them your name. They already know you're coming, and the rest is up to you. I'll see you around, Joe. Obviously, I took the offer. Getting paid to get high and travel was too good to pass up. Right now, I'm on the way to link up with Wells for my first official raid as a member of the Foundation. And I'll be back soon with all the details. According to the Foundation, something big is going down, and all field operatives are being activated. It looks like I'll have a lot to share real soon. And so, until next time, stay alert, stay alive, and things are about to heat up. Wow, 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 wow. And another one. Wow. Absolutely chest pounding. Wonderful, wonderful story there from the incredibly talented Leon Hamilton. Thank you ever so much, buddy, for your patience in allowing me to get this one out. Obviously, you've sent me quite a few other stories as well. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into those at some point this week, if not towards the weekend. But again, thank you so much for your patience and your input, and really would like to see a continuation of this storyline. Got quite a classic yin and yang duo there with the two lead characters, and would like to see more from that. As ever, guys and girls, you know the drill. Please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid crew. Of course, if you're looking to support the channel a little bit further and gain access to some exclusive videos for members only, and of course the early access videos, click the link in the description box below to join the DMT's Cryptid crew members only section. Thank you all so much for your kind condolences. Still quite blown away and in shock. I will do my best to get back to all of those kind messages. Thank you all so much though. It really was very touching to read through. Of course, as ever guys, I hope you're all well and happy, family and friends alike. But above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.